you got to take full responsibility for your kids' behavior because there's no other way to go. You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. Why won't they listen to me? Because you're not a leader. That's why. You haven't earned it. I worked my butt off to get respect with kids. You don't have to have a strong personality to do this. Like, I'm very much a follower in my personal life, but I'm very much a leader with kids because that's what they need. They need a leader. So think of it this way. It's just a skill anyone can learn. Welcome to the BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at BratBusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, let's get right into it. Lisa and Amy here, and I never know what we're going to be talking about. So the last one was one of our favorites by far. Should I mention what it was, or are they going to go out of order?
Nope, this will be in order.
This will be in order. It was about attitude. Do you address attitude? And it's funny, we were just saying, how could we not have talked about that before? It's so important and it comes up all the time. Anyway, that was our last podcast. So now we're going to be talking about
kids screaming.
Ugh, I hate this one. Kids screaming, because everyone wants to know, how do you stop the screaming? It's a long haul. It's an invest in tomorrow. You can't do anything about it today. Nothing. So let's get into it and I'll see if I have any answers.
So really what she's saying is, don't listen to this episode. Go back, listen together.
Give it up. Just listen to another episode. Yeah, I don't have any answers to that, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, we have quite a few questions, which I think we'll just go right into.
Sure.
So the first one is Sune from South Africa. My son is almost 19 months old. He tantrums and screams uncontrollably when he doesn't get his own way. We never give in or give him what he wants, but we are confused on how to address this behavior that is obviously developmentally normal. But how do you coach them to regulate their emotions? Ignoring it hasn't helped, and other forms of discipline escalates the episode. He simply won't calm down.
Okay. 2.5, was it?
19 months.
19 months. Oh, really little. Not much you can do at this point. You can, let me think. So he's just all over the place. That's really normal. So let me get my toddler hat on. Sorry, it's my grandma hat, but my toddler hat. Okay, I'm just trying to think of some really good maybe methods. What I'll do is I'll just read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers, and that will help. Because the reason I'm stopping and thinking is because there's sort of a few things that you want to get in place before you can really address anything. So this is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They look at you differently. When you enter their world, they just do. Number 4 is you discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. So you use consistent corrective actions. Every time they do something, you got to be fast though. And you go in there, you say no, and then you remove them from the fun or fun from them. But yeah, it's got to be really fast because they live right in the moment, especially at 19 months old. They're just coming out of babyhood at that age. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've only got one marble and some tumbleweed upstairs. So, imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just forming. They're going to do crazy stuff. Stay as calm as possible. When they do something that you don't like, try not to react. Or if you do react, use consistent corrective action. So when I said if they do something you don't like, try not to react, that's the screaming. Because what they'll learn is if you go, ooh, and you look at them, they go, oh, that worked. Oh, that got me attention right away. Whereas if they scream and you might want to yawn and close your eyes, and so then they'll come up with something different. But the thing is, you've got to reward what you do want also. You're not just teaching them what not to do, you're teaching them what to do. So if they come up to you and let's say you've got some time, you're sitting down, and you're just looking on your phone, that would be a good time to invite invitation. Like they could invite you to play. So then make sure you play. So you've got to mix it with a lot of fun. Otherwise, they're going to keep screaming to get attention. If they don't get it in a good way, they're going to get it in a bad way.
Okay.
That was a good statement. If they don't get it in a good way, they're going to get it in a bad way. I like that.
That is good. Okay. Next question is Maddie from Canada. My son, who's 3 years old, will sometimes spiral out of control when given a consequence. Hitting the dog, screaming. In this instance, should we go right to negative deprivation or wait to see if he does his chore? Do we give him another chore for hitting or taking something away at that point?
Such a good question. Comes up all the time in coaching. I was going to do a visual. I was going to show you what to do, but you might not be watching. You're probably listening. So you've given them a consequence and he has a fit. That's okay. You've already started the timer. All you're doing is looking at the timer. But protect the dog and protect him if he's going to hit himself. You just physically restrain if he gets violent. But you don't look at him or talk to him. You're just looking at that timer. Your only focus is the timer. Okay? You are following through with the behavior board. He has not. That's okay. You're the leader here. Let him follow you. He will learn that when you say, okay, the 15 minutes starts now. No, I hate you. I'm going to hit this and hit that. Physically restrain him. And then just look at the timer. And then when the 15 minutes is up, oh, let me see now. Okay, the chore wasn't done. So now 24-hour media blackout starts now, and start it. Let the scene ensue. It might be 24 hours of sheer hell. It's still a lesson. You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. Lisa, how do we stop this? How do we stop that? Well, are you ready for the storm? Are you ready for the battle? Because he's used to getting away with stuff, obviously. They don't act like that unless they're used to getting away with stuff. So you've trained him that he can get away with stuff, and now you got to untrain him. So it's going to be a battle. You can't react to that stuff. You just physically restrain and follow through with your leadership stuff.
Okay. Nadhi from Singapore. My daughter, who is 3, tends to scream and pull chunks of hair out during a tantrum. I've tried ignoring it, but I cannot see her hurting herself. What do I do in this situation?
Well, you do ignore tantrums, but you physically restrain them when they hurt themselves, hurt someone else, or damage property, especially at that age. We remove the last one when they're bigger. Like, we don't worry about damaged property if you've got a 14-year-old having a fit and he's going to kick a hole in the wall. You might get your head kicked in. So yeah, when they lose it, they lose it. So, but he's still really little, physically or it's a girl, I think, pulling her hair out. Yeah. They'll do that. They'll do all sorts of weird stuff. They'll hurt themselves, self-harm to get back because it upsets you. Also, that can become a habit. They can start, some kids will hair pull. It's what do you call that?
Oh, yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, literally it can potentially, if she's starting to do this now, you want to get a handle on that and prevent it. So physically restrain her from doing that. So because it can be something that she'll be doing the rest of her life. She might, what's that called? You've got it's like a hoarder or a hair puller or a self-harmer. Lots of people will do stuff like that. It just becomes not a phobia. What is that? What do you call that? It's something that's like people who are afraid of flying. A phobia. Like, it could be like a phobia. It's almost like it's a self-soothing thing when they get stressed or mad. So yeah, you want to stop that. Just chances are she won't turn into that, by the way. But yeah. So just physically restrain her. You're still not looking at her or talking to her, though. You're just preventing her from hurting herself.
Just keeping her safe.
And then let go after a minute or so. If she does it again, you just grab her again. She'll get the hint. She'll learn as you go. Everyone says, well, what if they don't understand? They'll figure it out eventually. That's okay. Don't worry about the more you explain, the more they complain. Actions are better with stuff like this. You've already said no, and you held her and you prevented her from pulling her hair out. She'll put the pieces together. She'll figure that out. In the moment, they're not thinking, though. Their brains are not, they turn to mush when they're all upset and screaming and having a tantrum. They're not thinking straight.
Okay. The next is Oana from Romania. My 35-month-old is having fixations on certain things, like putting her shoes on by herself, zipping her jacket by herself. If we intervene, hell is activated. She starts screaming, yelling, hitting, throwing herself on the floor. How do I handle that? What do I do with the shoes, with the jacket, or her fixation at the time? It's very difficult to deal with her after that.
I have no idea what you mean by fixation. I don't know what you mean by that. As if she just wants to? Is that what you mean? Like, well, let's just go with that. So she's decided that she wants to be the one to put her shoes on. I would start I use timers all the time. I would start a timer and say, okay, we're going to be going in 10 minutes, so you've got time to put your shoes on and put your jacket on. If it isn't put on, I will put it on for you, or we'll bring you out to the car with bare feet or whatever, and we'll put them on in the car later. So give her a time limit and make sure she can see it. One of those clock timer things that you can see the time disappearing. So give her the option and let her know ahead of time. If you're not done within that 10 minutes, give it a really reasonable time. Then I'll do it for you, and follow through. Expect her not to do it. Follow through. You got to win these battles. You've given her the option. You've given her a choice. I used to tell my kids, if your good, life is good. If your bad, life ain't so good, I'll make sure of it, because that's my job. I'm your mom. So I taught them to lean into doing the right thing, and they just did. Because they knew if they didn't, I would have put them in the car naked and thrown their clothes on the seat beside them. They knew that. So they would have just got dressed. And I wouldn't have been angry. I would have been laughing probably, because I like stuff like this. I think it's funny, because I knew they'd be learning a lesson. It's like that time my son was running late for school and he goes, "Oh no." And I heard him and I knew he was running late, but I didn't say anything. He was like 10 or 12, I can't remember. Anyway, so and he knew when we left at 8, we left at 8. Well, I was laughing to myself. I thought this is going to be fun. So he comes running out the door in his pajamas, carrying his uniform on a hanger. And he's got his bag and everything. And I'm laughing. So we get in the car and I'm backing down the driveway and I turned around and looked at him and I said, "If I see that seatbelt loosen while you're getting dressed, you're in trouble, mister." So he got completely dressed, didn't move the seatbelt once. I don't even know how he did it. And we were all just cracking up. So when I say something, it's going to happen, right? And it turned out it was funny. So, well, I was laughing. He was laughing too, though. He just knew, oh, we're going out the door now. And he came running. What are you laughing at?
It's kind of a funny story. I'm sure he'll be okay with us saying it. But it reminded me, just like we had so many laughs in those car rides. The time that he yodeled at the people.
Oh, God. I can't even tell that story. That was, I'd have to try and remember. I might have to ask him. We were acting crazy. I was nuts. Anyway, so what I said was, let's yell at people or yodel at people as we drive by and they're walking, right? So we go, yodeloo, woohoo. So I started it, of course, because I'm nuts. And then my son was doing it. But we had to time it because people are walking and we had red lights. We didn't want to get stopped at a red light. I didn't time it very well. And we yodeled at all these older teenagers. Like idiots, right? Hanging out the door. I can't remember exactly what we did. Was it yodeling? It was something else.
It was something like that.
Yeah, Isa, Misa, Misa. That's what it was. You go, Isa, Misa, Misa. You yell at people like, I don't know what it was.
Does that mean a thing? No.
It doesn't mean anything. But anyway, I was nuts. So anyway, Isa, Misa, Misa. And we use our hands like an Italian, like, looking at them and using our hands and saying this. So darned if we didn't hit a red light and all these teenagers are walking up beside us. And I said to my daughter and son in the car, I said, look forward with no expression whatsoever. So we all sat and just stared forward. And these teenagers are all looking at us and they're saying, what's wrong with you? And we're looking forward, didn't say a word. And as soon as the light turned green, we lost it. We just started cracking up. So yeah, what brought that one up? Oh, just funny. We just had fun. When you get all this pesky discipline your leadership cemented, and you're in trouble too when you mess up, by the way. When you get all that stuff cemented and figured out, you can just relax and have fun with your kids. That's all I did. It was a freaking riot. I miss it. Every single day. I don't remember one day that I didn't laugh my guts out with these kids. Like just funny, not when they're toddlers so much, but once they were talking, like maybe 4 or 5, then it was just funny. It was funny. It's like that time my son, oh God, I was so impressed by this. He was 8 years old and a new kid had arrived at school. I won't use my son's real name. We'll call him Ryan. Okay. So anyway, he came home from school and he said, oh, we got a new kid in our classroom. And I said, oh, that's great. Potential a new friend. And he says, yeah, but he said, his name is spelled John, John, but he pronounces it Joan. And because he was from South Africa or something. So I said to my son, I said, well, it's his name. He can pronounce it however he wants. My son, without skipping a beat, said, okay, my name is Ryan, but it's pronounced Braveheart. Wow. I was so impressed by that. It was just fun. Parenting was a blast. God, I loved it. I miss it. Well, I do and I don't. I also am enjoying my, old lady years too. But I mean, I miss that every single day. It was fun. Every single day. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
But now you get to channel that in the business.
I do. And no, that's what's interesting is I don't have any pets anymore, which I've always had pets my whole life. And 2 years ago, my last dog died. So I don't have any pets. And I think part of it is the business. Because I always had this strong maternal streak. So I feel like I'm mothering all of you when I'm talking. So I get that energy out because I've got a granddaughter now. I need to have freedom to drive out there. They don't live nearby. So if I had a pet, it would be more awkward. So that's why I'm not getting a pet. But yeah, so I feel just fine without one because I've got you guys to mother or to help you parent, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good. I love it. I love my job.
Okay, Sheila from Australia. So my son is 4 and refuses to sleep by himself. My daughter is 19 months old and sleeps fine by heels in her cot. while my son sleeps in a Montessori bed. He will scream and yell and go into a state that if we leave his bed, he will cry so hard that he will puke. How could I help him sleep by himself without this fear, or is it manipulation?
At 4, let's say it's manipulation, but then it could be fear. Okay. I'll tell you what I did with my kids. They both, I don't remember my daughter. I don't remember you going through this, but I remember my son. Well, you don't remember a lot with your second kid. It's like been there, done that. Anyway, I remember my son, he was afraid of monsters because we'd read some book about Monster Under the Bed because I was a really stupid mother and I read them. Let's read a book called Monster Under the Bed. Yeah, duh. Anyway, he was probably about 3. And so he says, oh, I'm scared of the monster under the bed. I said, don't be silly. I just read a book to him called Monster. Just put that together. Yeah, I wasn't the brightest bulb. Anyway, so I said, okay, I'll tell you what. And he already kind of saw me as a bit of a, not a superhero, but he sort of saw me as having all the answers to things. He kind of knew Mom knew how to take care of stuff. So I said to him, I'll tell you what. And I was always setting myself up as a bit of a superhero. So I said, I'll tell you what. I said, monsters happen to be terrified of me. Not other parents, but they're terrified of me. I have special powers. And my son's, yeah. So I said, if I look under the bed, in the closet, behind the curtains, a monster will take off and never go near them again because they're terrified of me. So I made a big show of it. And I looked under the bed and I said, nope, none there. And then I went up behind the curtain, nope, none there. And then when I opened up the closet door, I screamed, oh my God. And then I said, oh, the hanger was backwards. My son laughed. I wouldn't have done that to you.
No.
She would have gotten scared, but my son saw it was just funny. So I lightened the mood and I said, nope, no monsters. Good night. They won't come near you ever again. And he believed me. So that's that, you've dealt with the fear if you've done that, right? Also, I don't think I needed night lights with my kids. I might have had one in the hallway, but I didn't use a night light so much. But I do recommend you can use a sound machine. You can use those galaxy lights in their room, anything to sort of light up a little bit because they do tend to be afraid of the dark. So that's sort of eliminating the whole fear factor. And then I would go through the bedtime routine that I have. It goes in 2 parts, how to get them in bed. Then the second part is how to keep them there. It's all in my course if you're interested. It's actually in both my courses if you're interested. But anyway, the bottom line is the second part, how to keep them in bed, is the first time they get up, you walk them back to bed and you say, I said it's bedtime, don't get up. The second time they get out of bed, you say one word. When you walk them back to bed, say bedtime. Kicking and screaming, only one body part has to touch the mattress. That's your job. Just do that. But walk slow and talk low. It's very calming. No, I said it's bedtime. Stay in bed. The second time, bedtime. Every time after that, you don't look at them or talk to them. You just walk them back to bed. But do it slowly because it might take 2 or 3 hours with a 4-year-old. I won't get into it, but one family went pretty much all night. And that kid never got up again. That was the only night he did. The bigger the battle, the bigger the lesson, usually. So that's bedtime battles. He might throw up. I would just clean it up and say, well, I wouldn't even say anything. I'd just say, okay. Well, I'd say, let's get this cleaned up. Then I'd go right back into it. Because I'm guessing it's kind of, he just works himself up because he knows he's going to get you. He knows he's going to get his own way. Why would he get worked up for any other reason? That doesn't make any sense. Because you've got galaxy lights, sound machine, you're right down the hall. He's 4, you've done the monster check. I would go with manipulation after you've done all that. Unless you think there's something really wrong with him, I don't know. I haven't assessed the situation, but from what you've said, that would be my best guess. How's that?
Yeah, if you do think there's something more going on.
Yeah, if he has some phobia about being alone, I don't know. I haven't assessed the situation, so that would be coaching.
Okay.
But go with what I said initially. See if it works. If not, then you might want to look into something else.
Okay. Stacy from the United States. When my 2-year-old starts to make too much of a mess when eating, I take the food away. She starts to have a tantrum and at some point during it will scream that she wants to eat her food. Should I wait until all her screaming is done and she calms down? Or do I give in because she's now saying she's hungry and that's a need?
Well, if she makes a mess, I would say, okay, so no mess or no whatever. I don't know what she's doing. Is she throwing it on the floor? If she's throwing it on the floor, rubbing it in her hair, it's fair enough to say no, and then you hand feed her. So as soon as she does something like that, you say no, and then you hand feed her. She might start having a fit, say, okay, you're all done. Take the food away, clean her up, put her down. When she's finished having a fit, or even if she's still potentially having a fit, because she might not calm down because she is really hungry. So then let her cry it out for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Say, okay, you're going to try again? And then repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Keep going through it. If she's truly hungry, she'll eventually learn to eat. But you're allowing her to eat without doing those naughty things, right? But is she just making a mess, or is she doing things purposely to make a mess? There's a difference. Is she just a messy eater, or is she rubbing it in her hair and throwing it on the floor? That's different. But if she's just a messy eater, I wouldn't intervene. They're two, right? What can you gotta, sometimes with parents of toddlers, what I work on a lot is their expectations of their toddlers. Well, he should know better. No, he shouldn't. No, he's 20 months old. No, he shouldn't know any better. So often it's your expectations that are out of whack. Maybe not with this one, but if maybe they're just a messy eater. For now, they'll eventually learn.
Okay. The next question is We Sell from Palestine. What do I do when my kids refuse to do what I ask of them? My 8-year-old son in particular is the one who challenges me the most. He can throw massive tantrums and outright refuses to listen no matter what. He can scream and yell for an hour straight, then come down later and apologize for his behavior. For now, I've tried ignoring him when this happens, but nothing changes. It's the same thing over and over again. That's not the full question, but that's
good.
Enough.
Yeah, we don't need the full questions usually. Plus, it just gets into too many different things, and then I only can answer one thing usually. I can't answer like 20 different things. So anyway, he's just refusing to listen to you. That's you. His behavior is a direct result of your parenting. So work on your leadership skills, and he will listen to you. Start with my behavior board. It's the learning, what do we call that? The learner's license for all this stuff. What do you call it?
The training wheels.
The training wheels for all this stuff. He's 8 years old. I would start with my behavior board. It's you. It's not him. He's a result of your parenting. And then when he comes down and apologizes later, that's called remorse, but that does nothing with behavior. Nothing. It doesn't change behavior. Remorse does not change behavior with children at all. At all. Oh, I was going to tell you a story, but I can't because I didn't get permission. It's a really good one for that. I should have asked. Next time I see them, I'll ask them. Whenever you hear me tell a story, I've already asked permission to share it. I never share names. But anyway, so yeah, remorse does nothing. It means nothing to me. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. All right. Well, we'll know next time or something. I don't make a big deal out of that. Like, I don't go, oh, you're so wonderful. I don't do any of that. It doesn't mean anything to me. Not much at all. Yeah. So remorse is useless. Just set yourself up as a leader and he won't act like that. It's work. You got to earn this. You got to work for this. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents. You got to earn respect. You can't just expect it to be handed to you. Why won't they listen to me? Because you're not a leader. That's why. You haven't earned it. I worked my butt off to get respect with kids. When I was working with kids, if they acted out with me under my care, I always thought to myself, what am I missing here? I always look to myself because you can only change yourself anyway. Their behavior with you and how they treat you will reflect your leadership. That's how it works. That's what leadership is. A leader makes people feel good about themselves. I know how to make kids feel good about themselves to get the best out of them. And they treat me like great because I make them feel good. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. That's all that says to me, your leadership skills. You can do this. Anyone can learn. I always get these two clients mixed up. It was very similar. Anyway, a lot of people say this to me, but two in particular were very moms, and they had similar personalities. They were both they called themselves meek and mild, and their jobs reflected that too. They were just very quiet spoken. They said, well, I can't be authority. I can't say, and I said, well, that's not what this is all about. And they got really good at this, both of them. And they were both very meek and mild. They weren't leaders. They weren't confident in their social life and their, public life and all that. But they got very good at this. And I wasn't that surprised, but they were. And they said, wow, you don't have to have a strong personality to do this. Like, I'm very much a follower in my personal life. But I'm very much a leader with kids because that's what they need. They need a leader. So think of it this way. It's just a skill anyone can learn, including you. It's not a personality trait. It's a skill. Because I'm not a leader. I'm very much a follower in my personal life. Aren't I?
Oh, yeah.
God, I am. Terrible. I'm very impressionable. And if I say, oh, I hate that, all I need to hear from someone in my inner circle is, oh, give it a go. You might like it. Okay. I have no stubbornness in me or anything. Yeah, I'm very weak, sort of. I got a strong personality, but I'm very, very much a follower. There you go. But only people I love and trust. But yeah, you don't have to be a strong personality to do this at all.
Yeah, you like to be led in your personal life, and you.
Gosh, yes. I don't want to know where I'm going, what time to be there, what to wear. Nothing.
Whereas I couldn't think of something that would scare me more.
She would be horrified by that. Even if I'm out for dinner without her, I have to text her the menu and she'll tell me what to order.
Yeah.
I can't even order myself. Terrible. It's funny. But you know what's funny about that is I was very much led by my kids in a lot of ways, even when they were growing up, but never with discipline. That was my thing. But I was very much impressionable with them, and it made them feel good. Because if they suggested something, like a very good example of that is my son loved heavy metal music. Oh my God, I couldn't think of anything worse. I was hardcore Michael Bublé at the time. And oh my God, this head banging music. Now, what do I listen to at the gym? Slipknot, NWA, Falling in Reverse, head banging music. I'd be humiliated. I'm 64. I'd be humiliated if anyone at the gym could hear my big headphones. Yeah, that's my son. He inspired my musical taste. I listen. Although your husband, he ruined my Alexa. I got this Alexa. I talked to him, but I'm still not happy with my son-in-law. He was over here all the time when I first moved in and to this downtown apartment. And I just got Alexa. He loved country music at the time, and he kept telling her, I can't believe she hasn't asked me anything. He kept, telling her to play country music. That was when I first got it. To this day, if I say play music, it's all country. And I've said to her, never play country music again. Never, never, never. She keeps playing it on repeat. Plus, even if I got a new machine, that was my old machine that they have. Now I've got the show. It's all country music. Thanks to him for that. So, but yeah, I never got swayed to the country music. I do like head banging heavy metal music, but I've never been swayed to the country music. Funny thing is, he's not that big on it now either.
My Alexa never does country.
I know. It's funny because by the time they moved out together, he wasn't into country music anymore, but he left the legacy behind. My machine only plays country music. I have to tell her to play something specific to get out of it. It's that bad. So yeah, that one never influenced me. But he's my personal trainer, so I'm very influenced by fitness and that. So it's just that country music one never stuck with me.
Yeah. Not everything's going to stick.
Or him. He doesn't like it either.
Yeah. He does in the summer. It's very funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He says country music is summer music.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know it had a season.
Apparently.
Oh, by the way, I also listen to Frank Sinatra and some Michael Bublé, but mostly Eminem and all the headbanging stuff. So Weird, eh? Weird.
Okay, next question. So Valerie from the United States. My son is 6 years old, soon to be 7. So when he does something bad and I punish him, he starts arguing that he is not at fault and says, "You're punishing me for nothing." And I go into explaining to him what he did. He denies it and cries and screams for hours and hours, sometimes before bed and into the night. And he is absolutely sure he did not do anything. He is very, very smart and good at arguing and stubborn. Sometimes this spills into the next day. He remembers everything that happened for months and years. What do I do? How can I just have him accept punishment and move on? I want to do it and forget it, but he brings it up himself.
He's using it as leverage. He's playing the martyr, and you're allowing it. It's a learned behavior. And when he says, not fair, not fair. So the chore is, I'm going to get you to sweep the kitchen floor, and that starts 15 minutes to do it starts now. If he's got a consequence, right? 15 minutes starts now. You're looking at the timer. I didn't do it. I'm not listening to any of that. It means nothing to me. Nothing. His arguing, if you know he's broken the rule on the behavior board and you've got the consequence timer going, what does what he says mean anything? You know he broke the rule. He knows he broke the rule. He's arguing it's a learned behavior. It either bothers you or you give in. One of the two. It can't be anything else that I could think of. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. So it's got to bother you or you give in. Think about it. It's the only reason I've ever seen a kid act like that. He's playing martyr. It bothers you. Wouldn't bother me at all. At all. I'd be looking at my timer. Oh, the 15 minutes is up. Let me see now. Okay, so I see the kitchen floor wasn't swept. So 24-hour media blackout starts now. And start the 24 hours of sheer hell. There's a big lesson in that 24 hours for both of you. Stay calm. When he calms down, say, oh, do you want to play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Okay, never mind. Then you wait till he calms down. You ready for that game now? You're trying to connect with him. 24-hour media blackout, use that to try and connect. I don't care if he ever plays a game. You show you're a leader. You try and connect with him. So you ready for that game now? No, I hate you. I hate you. Not fair. I never did it. I did it. Okay, never mind. Walk away. When he's calmed down again, do you want to play another game? Anything you want to play? No, I hate you. I hate you. Alrighty then. Walk away. That's how it's done. Ooh, that's exactly how it's done. You're trying to connect with him. It's his choice. He's old enough that he might never play a game with you in that 24 hours. When they're like 5, maybe even 6 and under, 5 and under, they'll always give in and play a game.
Okay. Next one is Melina from the United States. My firstborn is a 3.5-year-old girl, is very confident, independent, and particular. My secondborn is a 16-month-old boy, is very content, inquisitive, and determined. My daughter yells and pushes her brother when he tries to touch her toys or be involved with what she's playing with. Recently, he has started to grab her hair, wrestle her, and even tries to bite her sometimes. She might start something, but then he finishes it, and she's left screaming to us to intervene. I think there might be value in them fighting it out without me intervening. I've tried to tell her to be gentle with him, but I end up yelling at her and needing to physically intervene. Just as I'm typing this, my daughter bit my son on his back. My question, how do I navigate the sibling fighting now to foster a long-term healthy relationship between them in the future?
Okay, well, you play with them together, like you play all together, and keep them separate when you're playing, and don't play anything competitive, but play something you can all 3 of you do. Like it could just be Play-Doh. He's 16 months, but you could still maybe do supervised Play-Doh or something where it's more creative. Don't let him put it in his mouth, obviously. Like I used to make all the Play-Doh, so they did not want that salty taste in their mouth anyway. So play together. But when he bites her, or I probably wouldn't discipline him. She's the cause of all this. She has control. She keeps going over to him. So yeah, every time she bites him, I would say, well, what did you do? So I would make her more responsible for all that stuff. He's more than likely retaliating, and he's learning her behavior. So yeah, I would say to her, well, if you bother him, he's going to bite you. That's on you. Okay. And then I would watch them like a hawk. And if she is mean to her brother or teases him, I would put that on the behavior board. And every time she does, she'd get a consequence. He's learning through, what's that called? What is your brother used to call me? I was vegan by proxy or something. What is it?
Yes.
Yeah, vegan. He's bad behaved by proxy, and he'll learn to be good behaved by proxy by watching his sister. I don't know if we've got the right term here. Proxy. But
you know what? Someone in the comments section
someone will
let
pick
us
it
know.
up. Anyway, in other words, I was only vegan because my daughter was, because I'm very much a follower, right? She became vegan, so I became vegan. But now she's not a vegan, and I'm still vegan. That's 10 years later. So it just suits me better. I'm not pro-vegan. It suits me. But what was my point with this? Oh yeah, my point is that he will learn that you know what you're doing and you're in charge. He's watching. And if she's not bugging him, chances are he won't bite. But watch it. He might just be a biter, and you might have to address that too. But I'd start with her. She's older. Sounds like, from what you said, sounds like she's antagonizing him, teasing him.
Okay.
It's my guess. Could be something else, but that's my podcast guess.
So we have Sarah from the United States. My daughter will cry then scream bloody when we have given a response to her whining or not getting her way. She gets like this especially over TV or something fun playing that she has to stop. She screams when we walk away from her when she is asking for help in a rude way or when she whines to get her way. I tell her I won't respond to you when you ask this way, but I will respond when you ask like this, and it could still be no. Sometimes she'll correct herself, and other times I feel like she feels shame when I talk to her in this way, and she feels very misunderstood. Tantrums happen, and I ignore and walk away and will not respond to her because she is screaming words at this point. These tantrums feel long. Am I lacking leadership skills? She's 4.
Oh, she's 4. I was waiting for that. Actually, if you could put the age at the very start, because I think about it differently and I'm thinking 2. The whole time you were talking, I was thinking 2. Now I forgot what you asked. Anyway, so she screams when she doesn't get her own way. Is that all? Just keep following through and make sure she doesn't get her own way. That's all. If it's something that you don't want to happen, just make sure it doesn't happen. Her screaming is just trying to, past the age of 4, they only do what works. It says to me, it works. Either you give in or you look angry. Both of those are working, and they'll keep doing that behavior to get that reaction. Okay. So just keep following through. She'll eventually learn, but also you got to play with her a lot too. So, but there was something in there that she said, but I was thinking 2-year-old. Now I can't get it straight in my head. Sugar. It's bugging me now. There was something else I wanted to address in that one. Anyway, yeah, just check out the behavior board. It's completely free at BratBusters.com. Start there and be consistent. You pick one battle per week. By the end of 3 weeks, you'll have 3 battles. Okay. So just pick one battle, stay consistent, and your consequence is for her. You'll see that. Like I remember once I was coaching this mom and she goes, "Can my consequence be I can't have a glass of wine after dinner?" I said, "What's in it for the kids? They don't care." So I thought that was really cute, though. She thought it had to be something that hurts her. No, it's something that you're rewarding the kids. Your consequence is for them, something they would get a kick out of. So her consequence, I don't know how old the kids were, but anyway, I think it would have been something like she's not allowed to talk after dinner. Old teenagers love that one. You're not allowed to speak after dinner. So, and moms, I would have negotiated my way out of that one for sure. I would have given them something great to get out of that one. But yeah, so yeah, that's my answer. Not a great one, but yeah, I was thinking 2-year-old.
Okay. So we have one more.
Okay.
Jordan from Australia and New Zealand. So 1-year-old.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Question. You say to ignore tantrums, then reconnect with the kid once the tantrum is over. Make sure you meet all their needs, but just manage their wants, and most tantrums are about wants. But what about separation anxiety? Is that a want or a need? Like if I leave the room to go to the toilet and my child screams his head off, am I ignoring an important emotional need for connection? Or should I ignore the behavior so it stops because he just wants something from me? Or he just wants something, which is me. It really is important to me to meet his emotional needs and set his nervous system up for a calm life. So I don't want to get this wrong. He is 1 year old and usually contained in his playpen if I need to go to the toilet or I'm trying to do dishes or prepare lunch. Note, we do lots of playing and connecting and activities, and he is mostly the center of my attention, but sometimes things just need to get done.
Maybe homesick because you're talking about toilet instead of bathroom. When I first moved to Australia, that's where my kids were born and raised. I was there for about 20 years. And I remember everyone called it the toilet. And I said, "Oh, how rude. I could never do that." Within a year, I'm saying, "I'm going to the toilet, go to the toilet." That's what they call it over there. Or the ladies or the gents or the men's. But anyway, the first time I ever asked for a washroom in Australia, they said, "You mean for showers?" They didn't know what a washroom was. Isn't that cute? You mean and we were both confused. Like, "No, you mean to have a shower, a bath or something?" I said, "No, and I didn't want to say where I go pee. They wouldn't have known anyway because they call it we, not pee over there." Anyway, it was funny. Just brought me back. Anyway, darn, I forgot the question. Oh, 1-year-old. Okay, no, that's okay. Don't worry about their emotional stability. You being there every single second does not necessarily set them up emotionally anyway. It's okay that they learn that there's disappointments in life. You being gone for 2 minutes while you're going pee is okay. They will learn. "Oh, I'm back now." Don't make a big deal out of it. Just say, "Oh, I'm going to go to the toilet," and then walk away and then come back and say, "Oh, I'm all done now." So, but don't make it a big deal. "I'll be right back. Sometimes you encourage that kind of separation anxiety. The longer the goodbye, the more you explain yourself, the more likely they are to have a fit. So I would just say, well, I wouldn't even say I'm going. I would just walk off and go pee, and they would hear me peeing anyway, so they would get it. But yeah, they'll eventually learn. Actually, my granddaughter, she's 1, and I said to my daughter-in-law, I said, "Well, when I've got to go to the bathroom, what do I do?" My granddaughter is not precocious at all. She doesn't go around and get into stuff. Like, I'm like, "No, what do you mean?" I mean, she must crawl around. No, she doesn't. But she must go the fireplace. No, she doesn't. She's just, I don't know. I've never met that before. Like, just completely not precocious. She has her area that she likes and she plays in that area. And I thought, wow, you can just go to the bathroom without having to worry about her getting into stuff. Whoops. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, it's okay. They can learn some disappointments in life. Don't be the pleaser parent where you want everything to go their way, that you never want to see them upset. You are setting them up for a very difficult life, because the sooner they learn that not everything is going to be revolving around their wants, okay? And even their needs sometimes, they might have to wait for 5 minutes while you cook dinner. You're not going to have food ready right away. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, don't worry about the emotional needs. You can go pee. You can urinate when you're a mother. That's okay. And they can be upset about it. That's okay.
I can understand that though. If you're a new parent, so still relatively new, you're just trying to get it right. And there's so much information out there.
Well, and the thing is, there's so much conflicting information out there. That's what's so confusing. My way's not the only way, and it's probably not the perfect way. But I know it works. It's worked for a lot of parents, and I know it can work. You've got to find what works for you. Everyone's different. I'm not stupid. I know I've never looked at anyone else, but I know there's lots of other people out there, and they've probably got some good methods too. But you got to use our methods in conjunction with our other methods. In other words, it's like going to a diet center. If you're going to take advice from one diet center, you don't mix it with another diet center's advice and think it's going to work. You got to sort of pick a path. If I resonate with you, then maybe pick my path. If someone else resonates with you, pick their path. Okay. That's the way I look at it, because it is a system and it's all meant to go together. My whole system leans into playing hard with kids, connecting and having fun with them. That's what I'm all about. But boy, if they act out, I'm on that like that. Okay. So, but my whole system revolves around playing with kids and connecting with them, everything. Also, I would, if you're going to take parenting advice from someone, there's 3 criteria as far as I'm concerned. They have to have finished the job with their own kids. How can you teach parenting if you don't know where you're headed? Have you ever lived with teenagers and raised them into adulthood? The other one is they have to have had experience with hundreds of other kids and seen everything out there. I didn't learn a lot with my own kids because they didn't have ADHD, they didn't have behavioral issues. I learned all that when I was mentoring other kids. And the third one, they have to have enjoyed and found parenting easy. Why on earth would you take advice from someone who struggled? That doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, someone who actually enjoyed and found parenting easy. So I'm sure there's lots of other old ladies like me out there, or old men like me out there, who have tons of experience, wallowed in parenting, and found it easy. So yeah, pick a path and go with it. You can change it later on, but for now, just go with it.
Okay. I think, well, that was all the questions. I mean, there were many more when it came to screaming. I looked up the word screaming in the questions, and there were a lot.
Well, what she does is she collects all the questions, then she vets them out and pick, because we got to have a mix. We can't have a lot of the repeat. A lot of them are repeats. A lot of stuff about tantrums, a lot of screaming. And what's interesting is it's mostly about the kid's behavior, not about the parent's leadership. And I don't teach kids' behavior. I teach parenting leadership. So, but I know they're reacting to you. Not so much in the toddler years. They're just kind of crazy anyway. But there are things that you can do to sort of ground your relationship and get a good base for it.
Okay. I think that's everything.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk again soon. Happy parenting. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out BratBusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit BratBusters.com/disclaimer.